Hello and welcome to the no longer weekly, larger than necessary First Player Token podcast. My name is Chris.
I'm Euan.
I'm David.
Hello, guys.
Hiya.
Hiya.
Right, we're here to talk about games. Alright? And we're here specifically to talk about Tabletop Scotland. But first of all, let's get the excuses in. Dave, what's your excuse?
I'm busy. Well, I've had to go to work.
Your first job.
I know. Well,
It's been tough for you.
Gone from whatever it was, 15 hours a week to like 60 odd hours a week.
For no additional pay.
And that's only the ones. That's only the ones I get paid for.
We should just say it.
But anyway,
Dave was like falling asleep before we started this podcast.
it's lack of food though.
You literally work in a cafe, Dave.
Right. Yeah, I know. You would. But the weird thing is, it's considered unacceptable to just like chuck food in your mouth while you're working in a cafe. Apparently that's not allowed.
This is a thing. It's in the elementary food hygiene booklet.
Yeah.
Well, Euan, do you have one of those at your work?
What, an elementary food hygiene booklet? Yeah, I've got two of them, I think.
Have you?
I've got a certificate that says I read it.
You have not got a certificate.
Oh yeah, I do. It's about 6 years old.
I don't believe it.
Oh no, I've got it. It's a fairly useless
mail order universities.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had to ring up. I mean, it's the kind of certificate like a charlatan would have in their office,
and that's how you like to be viewed by the world.
As a food charlatan.
Does this certificate actually just say Euan Glasgow charlatan?
Yeah, basically. I mean, if you read between the lines, I've written the word charlatan in very small letter.
I do love when somebody turns a metaphor into something literal. So I'll get my excuse in. Jesus Christ, I got promoted. This is like absolute. I had like an awful day today. It's really eating into my leisure time. I mean, nobody told me this when you get promoted that actually you have to work hard.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
That wasn't in the
I don't
description.
like it. Yeah, that's why I've quit.
Yeah, Dave, you have, haven't you?
It's like, this is nonsense.
See, Dave's work's got a very high turnover of staff. I mean, the owner didn't even hang on for more than a few months.
Right, well, let's stop talking about work then. Let's actually talk about what we're here to talk about, which is Tabletop Scotland 2019.
Yay!
Yay!
It was good.
It was pretty good. So it was. We went to this is the second Tabletop Scotland. We went to the one last year as well. We quite nicely got some invites to that, and this year it was twice as big.
Yes,
and quite a lot more people attended. So was it twice as good? This is the question I'm posing to you.
For us, it was twice as good. I had a great time this year.
Oh yeah, so did that.
I was slightly less tired than last year. I was still quite tired, but less tired than I was last year, and that really helped. And I think we got a lot more stuff done. And you guys went for 2 days, so that helped as well.
Yeah. Because last year we were only able to attend on the Sunday, so we actually got to experience a Saturday this year. And I mean, the Saturday was much busier.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
It was the main event, really.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, they book. They use quite a big sort of space in Perth, and last year they had one of the big halls in this building. This year they got a second big hall, which is normally used as an ice rink. I don't know. I don't know the logistics of this. I was really hoping that we would go in there and there would still be ice, just to make the gaming a bit more interesting.
That was disappointing.
I mean, we could have done with the ice.
No curling. There was no curling going on while we were there.
Yeah, but also no indoor bowls either in the other hall.
Oh, no.
No, that's true.
I mean, I did suggest to David, one of the organisers, that why don't we have the ice there and we could just set up the tables and everyone could slide around, and he just looked at me in horror. And I think in his mind he just started thinking about all like the guff he'd have to go through with the council. And it just started leaking out of the side of his head.
That would have been so good.
But that ice would have been brilliant.
But it was, despite that, it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, despite the lack of ice. Nah, it was absolutely brilliant. And they had... Well, we'll talk about what was actually there. We'll give a good sort of overview of what was there. So they had 2 big halls, and most of these 2 big halls were just gaming areas and places for people to show off their products. Sort of little stalls, people selling board games. There was a few board game stores in attendance, I believe. And there was also people there selling sort of little gaming knickknacks, and they also had a number of RPGs going on. So there was an RPG section. So it's not something that we got ourselves involved in, but there was definitely a lot of it going on upstairs. And again, I think they had a lot more space for that this year.
Well, I mean, that's Pavel's thing.
That's Pavel's thing, and unfortunately, Pavel couldn't make it.
No, I know. I mean, who'd have thought? But there we are. Maybe next year, eh?
Maybe next year, Pavel. In fact, I'm not even entirely sure if Pavel's still alive, because I've not heard from him for a while. There was a lot of board game tournaments going on, including like the Catan UK national qualifiers, I believe, and pandemic survival games going on, tournament games. There was a life-size Walk the Plank, which I'm kind of gutted that I missed out on. I didn't even know it was happening until after it happened.
I never saw that.
What? They did the life side? I thought they said that wasn't going to happen.
Again, oh yeah, I think there was a bit of to and fro about that, because we played it when we went to the ticket launch party for Tabletop Scotland 2019 a few months ago. Yeah. We played Walk the Plank there, and they had a bit of a chat there about whether they could get a life-size version of it going, and they did do it. It was happening on the corner of one of the halls. Nice. But I think I didn't realise it had happened until after it had happened. Like, if you see what I mean, I would have wanted to join in on that, but oh well. A few other things. Ticket to Ride national qualifiers. There was a King of Tokyo tournament going on, so there was a lot happening. I mean, there was way more than that as well. There was live seminars. Yes, live seminars. Yeah. Our friends at We're Not Wizards, they did a crowdfunding 101. There was one on tabletop art. Yeah, a few things going on. Tabletop with children was another one. And, game.
Well, they always have the HABA children's gaming zone.
Playtest, so the play zone, that's always a hit. That was there again as it was last year.
And we know what the best thing about that was.
Go on, Dave, tell us.
They had Rhino Hero masks. I can see mine now. It's hanging on my wall. It's pride of place.
We actually got a photo of you and Euan wearing them.
Yeah, it's a good picture.
It's up on our Twitter if anybody wants to see it.
And I attempted to wear mine for most of the Saturday that I was there. So I was very pleased about that. That was a real highlight. But the whole HABA thing is great. They have like a huge area that they take up, but they bring so much stuff, and it's like a really great thing. Their games are pretty awesome. They have one called, I can't remember. It's like called Princess Sparkle Horse something or other, which
that sounds like it's right up your street.
It just sounds amazing.
There's something about you, Dave. You have a strange pull towards these child games.
Yeah, well, this is like the first thing I did was wrote down a bunch of game names in my little book that Euan and I just happened to see when we were wandering about. Like, one of them is called Magical Treehouse, and then there's one called Sheep Race. And I was like, yes, that's the Sheep Race is a game for me.
That actually does
exclamation mark. Yeah, and then there's one that was just called Crabs.
Oh, Crabs was great. Everybody loves crabs.
So, I love it. There was also the Bringing By. The Bringing By was there, but we're going to talk about that. Probably should have said this is going to be a 2-part episode.
Because we're so sophisticated now.
I know. We're doing 2-part episodes. We're going to end this on a cliffhanger.
I know we've been away a long time, but we've come back strong.
Come back fighting. But you're going to hear more about the Bringing By in the next episode, in part 2. We do have some show notes, so we've made a plan. It's unusual for us.
I don't think we had a choice at this point.
Yeah.
There's that much to do.
We did a number of interviews, and we're going to, as we go through both episodes, we're going to drop these interviews in. And we interviewed, people that were there to show off their games. We interviewed a couple of people who were part of the games library team. So that kind of thing. So you're going to hear us as we go through the episodes. We will talk about, we'll drop in these interviews, I should say. Right. What would we like to talk about first?
I want to mention that the very first thing that we did when we got there was immediately going, "I'll have a sit down for about half an hour," and like with the Richard and Cole from We're Not Wizards, and basically sat for ages and ignored the
convention,
the fact that we're at a games convention, and just drank coffee and all acted like we were all completely exhausted.
Hey, it's a long drive. It took at least an hour.
Perth's an exhausting place at the best of times.
It was great to meet. It was like, the thing was like, Richard came across and he had his t-shirt and such on with the logo, but as we said at the time, the moment he opened his mouth, I knew who he was. Like, his voice is so recognisable.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to meet someone that you've only sort of heard. But it was very interesting chatting with him as well. And he was doing his seminar shortly after, so he was kind of like psyching himself up for that, really, and having a wee chill out just before he went on.
We didn't really talk even that much about board games with him. The only board games we did talk about were ones that we hated, or that he hated and that we hated.
Yeah,
it was a very agreement. It started off the day with a very cynical vibe, which I liked.
A bunch of exhausted middle-aged men just griping about things.
I mean, that's what you look for when you go to a gaming convention.
I have to say, I enjoyed that part of the day.
It was a lot of fun.
Nothing like a nice good coffee. So shall we talk about one of the people that was there to show off their games, and an old friend of ours? Yes. Let's talk about Bez.
Oh yeah, Bez. Yeah. Well, we met Bez last year at the previous convention, where she was showing off what the game? Well,
Wibble.
There's Wibble, which is
and Yogi.
Yeah, Yogi. And Wibble's a multitude of games in one, using a sort of interesting deck of cards with letters and symbols on that you can use in different ways. This year she had Kitty Cataclysm, which I've said right.
Yeah, well
and
done.
You're going to hear me in the interview say it wrong several times.
Aha.
I'll have to say, I was editing that interview and I really enjoyed listening to that part. So much so that I left it in.
Oh yeah, no, you have to. It makes the whole thing really.
So we did sit and play Kitty Cat. Oh God, I've done it myself.
Yes.
Kitty Cataclysm.
I think it's meant to happen.
In fact, over that weekend, I think we ended up playing about 6 or 7 games of Kitty Cataclysm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? I really like Kitty Cat. Damn it. I really like Kitty Cataclysm. I really enjoyed. I mean, it's slightly. I mean, I did win both games that we played, which always kind of biases.
Oh yeah,
things.
just throw that in there.
I enjoyed its sort of take on being a bit like Flux, but generally better, I would say, in all departments. With its cat puns and just a bit more fun. And I liked that we played with two children. who were called Harriet and Ellie. And Harriet in particular was a very forthright individual.
Oh yeah, very. So much so that I think she and I had a bit of a rivalry going by the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely played board games before.
Yeah.
Since well into her like gamesmanship and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. In my defence, she did pick on me.
Yep.
She was like, "You're the weak link here. I'm going to get rid of you." But no, it was a lot of fun. Kitty Cataclysm. Had to stop myself there. It's well designed, and it is just a fun party game, and that's what Bez is best at, I think. I think that's pretty much what she does, really. I'm not sure if Bez has... I haven't seen anything that Bez has made that couldn't be classed as a party game.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. They're all sort of, as far as I'm aware, sort of card games that fit into that kind of genre,
yeah.
I would say. But yeah.
But yeah, she is very good at her craft, and I think this is probably a good time to drop in the Bez interview.
Yes.
This is an interview that Euan did. Euan, anything that you want to preface this with?
Essentially, just be prepared for a lot of spiel. She didn't require too much prompting, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. she never does.
No.
So here it is. Here's Bez talking about her games.
So I'm here with Bez at Tabletop Scotland. How are you enjoying the convention, Bez?
Aye, it's going well. I mean, it's obviously a lot more people than last year, but they've expanded it into 2 halls, so it's kind of still fairly... Feelings... Sparse is the wrong word. Sparse is a bit pejorative. How would you call it? You know, it's... There's spacious.
Yes, spacious, that's a good one. That's how the estate agents would describe it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a wee bit quiet today. I mean, they've said that they're not wanting to expand it anymore beyond this, because this is all the space that the building has. They literally can't expand it anymore. Yeah. But I think that they made the right call in spreading across, because I've been kept busy all day. I mean, I've had people engaging with my things, and yesterday I sold a decent number of things. I mean, in general, this is what it's all about, coming and playing games and watching people play games. I mean, I had this conversation with Ralph Horsley, and it's like fantastic to be able to like rub shoulders with people like that, amazing artists, and have a conversation with them like before the doors were opening. And then we were talking about motivations, and like Ralph was saying that what they really wanted to do ultimately in life was to be able to sit in the room alone and just paint and have the hi-fi on, and they've reached a point in life where they can do that and they can feel like financially secure in just doing that, which is fantastic and well done for them. Yeah. That they've spent years developing that talent.
That sounds like bliss. I mean, yeah.
Like for me, I do enjoy drawing, but for me, it's not. I need that vindication. I need that feedback from people. For me, it's all about kind of putting out a thing into the world. That's really what I crave. Like, I don't know whether it's egocentrism or whether it's like wanting to be responsible for someone's fun, or just wanting to have that feeling of, okay, I made something, okay, it's worth it, and now I've got some worth as a person. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because whether you're here, through the connections that you make with other people, or whether you're kind of making a political movement, or whether you're actually going, sorry, I'm allowed to say, going against Donald Trump,
I think, we're not necessarily a political podcast, but I think our views are pretty obvious if you listen to us.
Or if you kind of do something like, okay, set up better recycling things in your council and set up things better for humanity, like all of us, we can, why are we here? Yeah. Like, to some degree, it's like, okay, we're just here to have a laugh, but if we can do something that is entertaining other people or is making the world a slightly better place, and that's what I ultimately hope for with these games. And it's been fantastic to see people engaging with these things and saying, yes, we find that fun. Fantastic.
I'd love to see it. I mean, obviously you've been really busy here at the booth all day. Like, you've got a lot of people coming. You get very involved. You like to, show people what's going on with your games. You've got Kitty Cataclysm. Oh God. I should have had a drink of water as well. Kitty Cataclysm out. That's your new game. This came out this year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also the new Wibble Plus edition.
Yeah, so is that an expanded version of Wibble?
No, it's exactly the same. So what I really want to make clear is, with Wibble Plus, if you bought the original version back when I kickstarted it in 2016, I want to say, if you bought it at the earliest opportunity, that first edition deck is going to last you basically forever. All the games that I come up with it every single year until I retire, which is what I've committed to, those are all going to be playable with your first edition deck. You don't need to buy anything else if you don't want to. Right. But The new edition, it's just a bit fancier. It's in a nicer box, it's nicer cards, and the instructions are on bits of paper because I have to think about the accessibility. And yes, it's a bit more expensive, and so it's less financially accessible. But conversely, the instructions, because they're not just on wee bits of cards, they're now each game. So it comes with like 6 games. Each game is on its own bits of paper. So you're like, okay, I can have space for diagrams, for illustrations, for examples of play, for tips for fun. Like, because Phrasal, it's all about creativity and almost like improv. And not everyone understands improv intuitively. And yes, you can read a card and people might be innately good at it already, but if on the back I can say, hey, by the way, here are some tips for fun. You might not need them, but, read them if you want and learn about yes and learn about these things. And it's about educating the people and educating sounds a bit high and mighty, but it's about ensuring that they have as good a time as they possibly can.
Well, I can tell obviously the focus of your games is very much on fun and giving people the outlets for creativity. With Kitty Cataclysm, what was the sort of inspiration behind that?
So originally, the genesis of that was the same as In a Bind, which is now Yogi.
Right.
So I originally, about 2014, I came up with a game which was inspired by another prototype that someone had made called Danish Frank. They made a game called Unfair, and then it was all about cards that allowed you to steal from each other and mess with each other a lot. And when the deck ran out, that was the end of the game. And also there was one other card that if you ever played it, I think it literally said you win. And so if you ever managed to play this card, but the thing is that one card had a different back, so everyone could see that you had it.
Right.
So the person next to you would constantly be stealing it, and so you'd have to have it for an entire turn, which basically never happened. And so it was really fun, and that was something that inspired me to then make a card game that had one physical card in it, only one. It was overcomplicated, and then someone said, hey, the physicality is fun, and then that became Yogi. And eventually it was simplified, it was a good game. And then about 2016 I thought, I want to explore that other avenue hopefully I've become a bit of a better designer in the preceding 2 years. And so 2016 I went back to this game. I simplified it. It was all about passing your cards around, being a bit mean to each other, in a playful style, and stealing, donating your bad cards. And then that became Kitty Cataclysm when one of my friends said, hey, how about cats? And I was like, yeah, clearly.
They're a great theme, a great idea.
I mean, the thing is, it's almost like, why didn't I think of that? So if you're not sure what to do as your theme, why not cats? Why not?
Of course. Well, yeah, best. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you continue to enjoy the convention. I know you've got the tournament going on this afternoon.
Oh, at 2 p.m, and it was great laugh yesterday. Sally, not that Sally's a famous person, but it was a person called Sally who managed to win literally everything that I've ever made, and every convention I'm at, there's a 2 p.m. event. So if you're around, then seek me out at 2 p.m. But it's been lovely to see you, Euan, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your show also.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, yeah, and that was the very enthusiastic Bez, who, just talked about a number of things, but we definitely got into the sort of the joy of gaming, which seems to be the core sort of idea behind the games that she makes. She's been very into improvisational improv comedy. Mentioned yes and sort of glossed over that very quickly. I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing to bring up in gaming. But
yeah,
a lot was touched upon.
Good games. I had a lot of fun playing Kitty Cataclysm, which is how I'll refer to it from now on. Although, the one thing I was like, you guys were telling me there's an expansion for it.
Oh yeah,
and
you didn't know.
And she never told me. No. And so I'm annoyed about that.
So yeah,
I'm going to have to get that.
On the Sunday when you couldn't attend, we sat down and played Kitty Cataclysm again. Yep.
and mentioned that.
And Bez broke out the mini expansion for it, which involved having personalities in the game that you could play as, including Chairman Meow and Fidel Castro. And a lot of other things, just figures from history in cat form.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can get a copy of that somehow.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're available.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Bez. Bez is a great character, very colourful.
Yes.
And you can always spot her when you go into the convention. You know exactly where she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's a very popular stand as well. Like,
Oh yeah.
rammed a lot of interest, which is good.
And she always has a tournament at every sort of convention thing she does. She always has I think it's a 3 o'clock tournament or something like that. And those are all that was very popular. And whoever wins the tournament wins a copy of every game Bez has made, which is a good prize.
Did that take place at the stand?
It took place at the stand, just around the table, and it was absolutely packed.
The one thing I think these should happen in like a central area for tournaments.
Yeah.
Rather, I realise there's issues with that, but I think that would be like way cooler.
Well, there was a tournament area. I just think that Bez wanted to stay near her stand, and just keep things going there. I mean, I can understand that. It kind of drums up interest. Like, why is everybody crowded round this stand all of a sudden? So, I think it's quite clever, to be honest.
So there is a tournament area.
Yeah. So there was a tournament area. And
it needs to be like more. It needs to be more like right in the middle and be like have video screens. I want to be able to like watch the tournaments on my phone.
Oh yeah.
While I'm in different places, and like there should be like a color commentator and like an announcer, but like at the wrestling.
Exactly like the wrestling. Just somebody going, "Oh my god!"
The wrestling, like when you're at the wrestling.
I can safely say I've never been at the wrestling.
Oh, you've never lived. I know.
I've never been to the town hall in Musselburgh.
Right. Anyway, we better move on.
We're rambling now. Okay. It's infectious. Yeah, let's move on. So, other things that were happening. We somehow managed to get ourselves involved in a children's game. After being highly recommended it by Eric from the Juniper Green Board Gamers. He totally recommended this. Now, Eric runs a gaming club, which is mostly attended by children, so I can understand why he would be recommending this. And he does have a young family of his own. And we did an interview with Eric in our Red Dice Games episode. So you can listen to that if you want to hear Eric. He's a very interesting guy. But he recommended we go and play this Gruffalo game, which was over at the Yay Games stand. So we did. It was definitely something that was aimed at younger children, but I can definitely see why younger children would love it. And apparently all the kids that played it at the convention, really enjoyed it. And it was it was good because it was a game that came in and inside the box there was like 4 games inside it, all based around the Gruffalo, and that was really cool. It was really interesting. And actually, let's just drop in here the interview that we did with Andrew from Yay Games, who will tell us all about all the games that Yay Games makes.
So I'm here with Andrew from Yay Games.
Yay!
And they are a very joyful games company. Andrew, tell us a bit about what you do and the games that you make.
We're really excited about the fact that we're coming out with our 6th game now, which is really exciting since we only published our first one in 2014.
All right.
So we're just ahead of one a year, which is very exciting. What we aim to do at Yay Games is just bring on the fun. We like to make family-friendly, interesting games that are really light on rules but loads of replayability.
Okay.
So, for example, the game that's probably most well known at the moment is our game called Ominos, which is a dice tactics game. It takes 2 to 4 players, takes about 15 minutes to play, and a couple of seconds to learn. There's only about 3 rules in it. If you can strip a game back right to those basic rules and just have all the fun in there, so much the better.
Brilliant.
But the thing that we're really excited about at the moment is that in October, towards the end of October, we're coming out with a package of 4 games called Games from the Deep Dark Wood, which is all to do with the Gruffalo. So we're hugely excited about having got hold of the license for that, and that's just brilliant. I'm really excited.
Is that a difficult process getting hold of licensing the Gruffalo for game use? Is it?
It was longer than it should have been. Is the hard bit.
So it's some legal wranglings.
No, not at all.
No?
The whole story is September 2 years ago almost. A company called Mojo Nation, who are brilliant, run by a guy called Billy Langsworthy, who used to work with Toy News, which is one of the bigger industry side communications newspapers. He recognised that toy manufacturers got to get meetings with licence holders more easily than board game designers and independent publishers in the UK. So he set up this company called Mojo Nation and arranged for one of the first licence holder meetings to be with Magic Light. Magic Light are the guys who make the Gruffalo movies that you probably see over Christmas. But they also own the licence to Julia Donaldson's work. And they said, then it was approaching 20 years of the Gruffalo being published, and 10 years since the launch of their original half-hour-long movie. And they said, is there any interest for people to actually come along and do the licensing for the Gruffalo? Yeah. It was open to a whole bunch of people. So there was me, there was Brett Gilbert, who's well known in the hobby industry, so he was there as well. But also loads of people who were making like shampoo for 3-year-olds and camping equipment and all sorts of stuff. So it was a real wide range of people, and we got inspired by what they were looking for, and they said, if you've got something to pitch to us, pitch it and we'll see whether we like it. If we like it, we'll go ahead. The pitching that we had, both Brett and I were called back, and so in December we pitched back to back at their head office in London. Yeah. 2 different games, both with the same name, strangely enough, and the rest is kind of history, because Magic Light decided that they liked both games. They wanted it to be a package of at least 3 games. We've ended up producing 4, and they offered it to Yay Games, which is us, to actually publish, which is really exciting. So that was nice and straightforward. Then the hard work started, which was we realised that it had to be supported properly to be brought into the mainstream shops, because this is a gift thing rather than a hobby game. So the hard part was actually making sure that we got the right deal with the right support partner to make sure that it's going to get into the right places like Waterstones, John Lewis, Argos, Amazon, and we didn't quite have the reach when we started. We still don't quite have it, but we've managed to get really supportive partner to help us through all that. So that took the hard bit. So in terms of actually getting it done, it was about 6 weeks, but 6 weeks spread over about 2 years.
Oh,
because buyers are hard to get a hold of.
Put more time spending on actually making the game itself.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a chance to play, or we played through all the 4.
That was lovely seeing you play it yesterday.
Yeah,
it was
really
great.
Enjoyed it. It does. You have a lot of fun sort of getting into it, and and it works for all ages as well. They're good, good for kids and like adults like ourselves who are having a lot more fun with it than we expected.
Good.
Is the game kind of finalised now?
Yes.
They're just sort of getting this out for people to have a look at it now.
Yes, I mean, what we wanted to do was share the joy as soon as we knew it was properly official.
Okay.
So all of those complicated negotiations were all there, ready to go. I hate making promises that I don't necessarily know I can fulfil. So this is it. It's ready. It's at the printers right now. Right. We're at Tabletop Scotland right now, which is at the end of August. So by the end of October, it should be out and ready in the shops, which is fantastic. Yeah. So it's a set of 4 games, as you played yesterday. So there's a memory testing game, there's a dexterity game, there's a sort of dominoes-like game, and there's a little set collecting game. So it tests lots of different aspects of play, and family-friendly fun is what we're all about.
That's great. Yeah, and have you any other games sort of down the line you're looking to make, or is it quite focused on this at the moment? Other things in the pipeline?
There are lots of things in the pipeline, yes. One of which I'm delighted to be... Well, I've got it with us here, if we get a chance to play it. It's a game that's been in several different forms. It's a game called Not My Monkeys. And at the moment, and I think this is about the finalised version now, with just a couple of little balancing things to go on, it's actually a monkey placement, engine worker placement monkey thing. So it's got a couple of really nice, unique mechanics in there. But it's basically you've got to try and build the happiest tribe of monkeys that you possibly can.
Oh, brilliant!
And yeah, we're just checking it through now for balance and speed. So it's looking really good. The thing about Not My Monkeys is that it was about 4 years ago. A Polish colleague was in and around where I was working and just said, "Not my monkeys." And I went, "What?" She went, "It's not my monkeys, not my circus." Is a Polish phrase, which is just like, not my problem, somebody else can deal with it. It was just great, and I just thought, that's such a lovely phrase. I've got to write a game called Not My Monkeys.
I'm going to start using that, I think. Yeah.
It's Not My Monkeys.
Not my monkeys.
But the problem was that it's been 13 different games, none of which have quite worked right.
Oh, right. So just finding the right combo.
But it's been an area control game. It's been a Carcassonne tile laying style game. It's getting completely mad.
Right. So currently it's a worker placement thing, and sort of
it's a monkey placement.
Monkey
game.
placement, very specifically monkey placement.
Yes.
Monkeys, I suppose monkeys don't really have a concept of work, so it's a different thing for them. Yeah. And so how many at EA Games? How many of you are involved? Is it just yourself, or do you have other people that help you out with it? Or?
In terms of running EA Games, or in terms of running EA Games, we've got a massive staff of 2.
Okay.
Which is me and my wife Jenny.
All right. Yeah.
And in terms of creativity, EA Games was originally set up to publish Frankenstein's Bodies, which was our first game.
Right.
But right from the start, we wanted to bring other designers on board.
Okay.
Haven't quite found the right game now, or yet, but we have now with the Gruffalo.
Okay.
The Gruffalo package. So Games from the Deep Dark Wood, there's actually 3 writers involved in that. So there's me, there's Brett Gilbert, who's big and famous in the hobby market, and of course there's Tony Boydell from Snowdonia. So we've all worked together on this. So it's another step forward for us to actually have different names on the cover rather than just Andrew Harmon's name on the cover, which is lovely.
And of course we met Jane yesterday because she went through the playtest with us. So she declined the interview today because she's
got a really sore throat.
So I talked to a lot of people.
And done lots of laughing, you know. It takes a toll on the voice.
It does, yeah. But you should do it because it's fun.
Yes. Oh, it's great fun. Great fun. And yeah, there's loads of other games on the horizon. We've got lots of different things happening, so we're not going away. EA Games is here to stay, and we're having a great deal of fun.
Well, yeah, and how are you enjoying the convention? The
Tabletop Scotland.
It's Tabletop Scotland overall.
It's been lovely.
Yeah.
It's been really well organised, really nice, cool atmosphere. Well, it's hot atmosphere because it's quite a warm day,
quite hot,
but it's just been really relaxed and lovely. And what's surprising me and is lovely is there's so many people who are bringing their families along, and young families and teenagers running around, and it's just really nice environment. So well done to the team for organising it. It's the second year and it's done really well, so it's great.
Well, Andrew, thanks for talking to me, and hope to hear more from you soon.
There will be more. Excellent. Thanks so much.
So that was Andrew from EA Games. I think they're one to watch. I think that they are probably going to, at some point, release something that's going to go quite big. I think that they've got their heads in the right place, and definitely listen to that interview. It was interesting to listen about the licensing stuff, like how he was up against other people to get the Gruffalo license and all that kind of thing. I mean, that was like a really interesting thing to hear from somebody on the inside, sort of thing.
Yeah, and just thinking of the development of EA Games as a company, particularly it's very small because it's just literally just Andrew and his wife, running the whole thing, and what they've achieved. I mean, the amount of games they've kind of gotten out in the last few years, it's quite impressive.
Indeed, and there is a few games there. I mean, like Almanos is quite popular. They won a UK Games Expo award.
I really like. They were playing Almanos like next to us while we were playing the Gruffalo, and that definitely looked like the kind of game I would like to play.
Yeah,
it's sad I didn't get a chance to have a wee shot of it.
It's an abstract dice game with a kind of Egyptian theme, and it did look very interesting. And while Andrew was playing Ominos, showing someone how to play Ominos, he was having a great laugh at us fully grown men sitting playing this Gruffalo game.
Yeah, the point he remembered when we came back on the Sunday, and he sort of pointed at us and was like, "Oh yeah, I enjoyed your attempts."
Reading out bits from the Gruffalo.
Yeah. Like that. None of us were very convincing. I don't think we would win any awards for that.
No. I really liked the first one we played was like a memory game.
Yeah.
I quite like just the sort of standard like turning over a tile. Is it the right one? A bit like the one where you have to make pairs, but instead of making pairs, you just have to find the right tiles.
Yeah.
I really liked it. It was really close at the end. It's very exciting.
It was. Yeah, I mean, they've really got that balancing right on that one, haven't they?
Yeah.
But no, great people at EA Games. Absolutely loved talking to them.
They gave us a copy of Snagit.
Yeah, they did. They gave us a review copy of Snagit, and we did play it while we were there. And that's another sort of little. It's like a little party card game thing where you're actually just trying to grab cards as fast as possible that match up with certain things. But actually, I really liked the the art on it. Like the pictures of the animals and stuff was brilliant.
The pictures of the animals are amazing. Yeah. Like I got the horse card and immediately had to take a picture of it. I might, if I remember it. Oh, I'm not good at it, but like I was like, yeah.
Frame it, push that up on the wall, Dave.
This is so cool. It's just like a picture of a horse. But it's like a silhouette of a horse. That's what makes it amazing in a field.
I'd like to play a bit more of Snagit now. We've got this review copy, and we'll maybe have a proper talk about it at some point, and talk about, because the thing with Snagit is you can play it with kids, but I think one of the things is that if you play it with adults, because there's a sort of reasoning part of it where you have to say this animal is the strongest X because Y, you can end up having massive arguments. So it's like, stop the game. Stop the game.
You can
say
be quite
what?
ridiculous with some of those.
So yeah, I would like to play it again, and we'll maybe talk about it properly on a non-convention episode. Okay, so yes, that was EA Games. Like I say, fantastic people. Okay, so we talked about the games library earlier, and it was an impressive games library. Plenty of stuff there to keep you going, and plenty there to keep the hundreds of people that attended going. And half of that games library was brought by someone called Darius, so we're going to talk about him in the next episode. But the other half was brought by Kenny from the Dice Roll Cafe. Now, Kenny's someone that we've met before. He's an absolutely lovely bloke who runs a kind of pop-up sort of board games cafe thing in Glasgow. And he was kind enough to bring half his games library through to Tabletop Scotland. Now, we had a bit of a chat with Kenny, and at the time that we chatted to him, it was quite late on the Sunday, and he was totally frazzled. And he really resisted when talking to us. I mean, we stood and had an absolutely amazing chat with him, and then I said to him, "Yeah, let's do this interview, Kenny." And he was like, "Oh, I can't believe you weren't recording that right now." Then we have to do it all again. So we did talk to Kenny. We talked to him about what he does and the games library and that kind of thing. So let's listen to him.
I'm here with Kenny from the Dice Roll Cafe. Hello, Kenny.
Hiya.
It's coming to the end of the convention, end of the 2 days. You're looking a wee bit burnt out.
I am, but I'm still really happy to be here. It's just it's an intense weekend. There's so much on, and there is so many people. Like the volume of people that have been kind of checking in has been really, really quite fantastic. I think everyone's really happy with the turnout.
So you brought half the board game library here for people to actually check out their games and play them at the tables. That's quite impressive. So how many games have you brought?
I think we are. There's been certain levels of kind of delivery. About half the games kind of was brought up by Darius from all around the board. Again from Margate, which is a great help. He's brought a lot of like really nice new releases that have got a really good sort of hype around them, and they've been one of the most popular ones that we've had. I've brought kind of a lot of good staples, a lot of Kickstarters, a lot of kind of more kind of classic stuff, but together it's kind of created a really good, flexible, robust, diverse collection. So it looks really good. I think we probably have something close to over 300, because I know that we promised about 120, 10 each. But I think both me and Darius could not resist sneaking in another 50, close to 60, 70 each. So the final count I'm not too sure about. So it must be over 300.
Over 300 games. Yeah. It's impressive stuff. So you're from a Dice Roll Cafe, like I said. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Dice Roll Cafe was kind of like my little wee project that I started back in 2015. Mainly because it's just kind of like we're not a cafe that has a premises per se, but we're a cafe that kind of a social board game group kind of events thing that pops up here and there and tries to experiment a wee bit with what board game can bounce off with, whether it be like good kind of providers of foods, kind of like cafes or restaurants, or events. I've always tried to push the boundaries a wee bit just to explore how flexible board gaming as an activity can be, and how positive it can be, and what it can give people who play it to new members. I've always kind of courted people who are possible game enthusiasts.
Potential game enthusiasts.
Yeah, I think everybody is, to be honest.
I think so.
Those that are that are just on the tipping point, I just try and convert them. Yeah.
So would you say that that's your main profession at the moment?
Yeah, I'm a pusher.
You're a pusher.
I'm a peddler of board games.
Making it sound a little bit more sinister. You're based in Glasgow, right?
Yeah. So I'm a Glaswegian, born and bred, and so that's for a city. It's such a diverse gaming community, and it's always been well cared for. But I'm always quite lucky that I'm based in such a vibrant city for gaming, and for other things like other types of gaming, other sorts of, I suppose, light inverted commas geek culture.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. Okay, right. Thanks for speaking to us, Kenny.
Yeah.
We'll see you around sometime.
Thanks.
Enjoy the next couple of hours.
Thanks a lot. I will do.
Cheers.
Thank you.
It was good to talk to Kenny after catch up with him after the ticket launch. Which we did an episode about many months ago. It's a shame Ian didn't get him a coffee, but that's.
That was. It was actually. I think Ian offered him a coffee, but what we're talking about our friend Ian. What Ian did was he also offered me a coffee and didn't get me one after I said yes. So I mean that kind of made me angry after we did that interview, because it was quite late on the Sunday, and I told Ian that he could walk home from Perth after that. I'm not a bitter individual at all.
Anger's sometimes a good substitute for coffee.
You'll go far with an attitude like that.
Nah. You don't need to be awake. You just need to be angry.
Yeah, we have a friend that could probably relate to that, but let's not talk about him. I'm sure we've all got a friend like that. So yeah, Kenny, absolutely lovely bloke. Always loved chatting to him, catching up with him, and he needs to keep doing what he's doing because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So now we're going to get to the big topic. The big topic, which has got nothing to do with board games. But it was a nice break, I think, from all the sort of board gaming that we did, and going around chatting to people and that kind of thing, because we kind of got stuck in a dark room with two strangers who had to put up with the three of us.
Yeah,
and we did the Starship Bridge Simulator.
It was good.
It was very good. Now, Dave, we did record the entirety of this thing. I did sort of listen back to it. It was quite long because we were in there for a good more than an hour, I believe.
Yeah.
So I decided not to chop up bits from that and cut them into this episode because I think most of the time it was just us mostly panicking and then you requesting if you could nuke everything.
Or changing the radio station at one point.
I think we should put the recording up as a special feature.
Yeah, I think I might do. I did consider doing a sort of like a sub episode where we just put that recording up, and you can listen to it if you like.
Put some dramatic music over it.
Yeah, I was so confused a lot of the time, to be honest.
It was mildly confusing. I mean, the Starship Bridge Simulator is exactly what it sounds like. You are basically role-playing as a Starship crew. And it was run by Edinburgh College.
Yeah.
What happens in the Starship Bridge Simulator is that you are brought into a room and you basically have to decide amongst yourselves your roles. Now, we did book in to have 4 of us doing the Starship Bridge Simulator, but unfortunately Pavel couldn't make it, as we discussed earlier. But we did have 2 people we didn't know who came and joined in with us. And, like I say, had to put up with our top bants. So we assigned our roles. Because there was only 5 people taking part in it, and there's supposed to be 6, one person had to be both the captain and the science officer. And I think I ended up just volunteering myself for that after nobody else wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So that was my role. Dave, you were?
I was in weapons. I can't remember the proper name of it.
Tactical, possibly?
Weapons man.
Weaponsman.
Or weapons person, sorry.
Euan?
I was engineering.
Engineering.
Oh, yeah.
It's a role that I didn't have you down for, but, you managed to handle it quite well until near the end, but I was basically just like, yeah, Ewan's going to blow the ship up because he's overheated everything.
I had to just, ramp up everything. It was great.
And we had our two new friends who were taking the position of the helm and the relay position, which was a position I was a bit confused about at first, but essentially they were in charge of doing things like launching probes and looking at the greater map of the galaxy and that kind of thing. Just taking charge of like radar and that sort of thing. They could also do the interesting thing of hacking into enemy ships, which ended up being very useful once we kind of got the hang of it. Now, essentially, you're brought into a room and you're sat down in front of one of 5 computer monitors, which are all touchscreen.
Yeah.
And you have your station on it. So I had my science station in front of me, which was essentially just a little sort of radar screen with various, it would show me where, starships are, it would show me where star bases are, it would show me if there's any nearby nebulas and that kind of thing, black holes. And I could also have an encyclopedia that I could look into to see what each thing that we might come up against, what their sort of stats and stuff were. I don't know if you realised that, but I did have that information. No. It was just that during the heat...
Was it like Microsoft Encarta?
Oh yeah, it was basically that, but in Starship form. It also didn't come in 10 CDs.
Did it have tiny little postage stamp videos that you could play?
I really wish it did. Star Trek: The Next Generation. But I had that information. It's just that during the heat of battle, it was kind of... it was not really practical to just start looking up an encyclopedia. So I had that in front of me. Well, one big regret about sharing both the captain and the science role was the fact that I didn't get to sit in the captain's chair.
Oh, no.
So the captain's chair was sat at there was a high chair behind all the computer screens.
You were behind me. Yeah, because we should really make clear to people, this was a bit like being on the Crystal Maze.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, because the 2 guys that were running it had their jumpsuits on with little patches on them and headsets, and they were they were role playing it quite seriously. Yeah. Despite my attempts to derail it. And, they took us in this room. It's not just a room. It's it was all darkened. So it was quite atmospheric, and they had like speakers set up all around.
Yeah.
So you had the kind of surround sound thing going on, and like there was sound effects and stuff, and like music playing as well. And there was a big projector screen up the front that showed basically a bit like the front screen on
a Starship,
Star Trek.
Yeah.
It was there's a lot of effort has gone into this. It was pretty freaking cool.
It was. It was very well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you've kind of set the scene a lot better than I did there. Definitely a lot more atmospheric than I was making it out to be. You weren't just sitting in front of a computer in a brightly lit room.
No.
No, they actually went to some effort.
No, they tried. Yeah, they tried as best they could, like with to immerse you in this whole experience. And you had all your sort of like little touch screens set up. So you had your station, wherever you were. I think the thing with the captain's chair, you were saying, I hadn't realised it, but that there was up the back there. So the whole point with the captain, you don't actually have a station. You are taking the information from all the various crew members and sort of attempting to direct them, which I imagine is probably difficult if you are doing another role.
Yeah, but I mean, I can understand why the science officer was given the captain's role. And I'll get to that later, actually. But do you guys want to describe what you had in front of you? Because it was different for everybody, which was really nice.
I mean, the engineering one was very much like
There's a lot of bars.
Yeah, it was a lot of bars. You essentially have all your systems, so your
sliders,
all sliders and bars. You had there was something like 9 or 10 systems you had to kind of look after. So you had two types. You had your laser, your beam weapons, and your sort of missile weapons, maneuvering impulse engines, your jump drive, shields. Oh, you also had like the reactor. So your ship has a sort of set amount of energy, which we kept running out of very quickly. So essentially, everything you do is going to drain that energy, and it was all about balancing what all these systems were doing. So you weren't draining the energy too fast, you weren't overheating individual systems, which would then break down, and you'd have to basically apply coolant to various systems to stop them from doing that. It was a big balancing act, which became very difficult when your crewmates are just flying around all over the place, shooting willy-nilly at stuff and demanding power to this and that.
Dave, what did you have in front of you?
Yeah, I guess I was tactical because
you were.
I was in charge of weapons, but also shields as well.
Yeah.
So I got to put the shields up and take them down. I enjoyed doing that. Like I just did that on my own. I mean, normally when I watch Star Trek, it's like the captain who's like, "Can we get shields up?" But that didn't really happen.
No, I was too distracted.
I just too busy sciencing, I guess.
Yeah, I was too busy being a scienceman.
Looking at the encyclopedia, and it's like reading about the blue whale, and so and there was you had to like tune the shields and tune the lasers. So every so often, if I could be bothered, I'd be like, "Captain, can you give me a frequency for my shields?"
And
the science officer there's meant to do that, or
the science officers, and that was one of the interesting things, is the fact that you kind of had to work with the other systems in order to get certain things done. So one of my roles as a science officer was that I had to basically on my radar screen I could select various enemy starships and I could scan them. But I had to do this little thing about a little sort of mini game basically where you're lining up frequencies on the screen. So that they match frequency, and then you can scan them again, and that second one is much more difficult. But if you get that second scanning, you know the frequency of their shields and you know the frequency of their beam weapons, and I can then tell you what frequencies to set your shields and beam weapons to in order to fight this ship and get the maximum efficiency out of it. And that was essentially what I did for most of the time I was in there, was scanning things and giving out frequencies. During a fight, that was basically my job, and it was working with you. That was it was having to work with you to do that. But
that's a big part of the whole thing, is talking to other. You don't just have to talk to the captain. I was sat next to the helmsman, and again when I could just muster the effort, because there's quite a lot going on.
Yeah.
I could maybe give instructions to the helm directly, bypassing the captain. To say can we go right a bit? Because one of the curious things about your spaceship is that the torpedo tubes only point sideways.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I mean, nobody told me this.
It's really annoying.
You think the captain would know his own ship, but nobody told me that the torpedoes only came out the sides until... And I didn't realise it until later.
Front-facing torpedo tubes. So you have to it's a real... It was such a nuisance. I was like, can we just shoot them with our lasers? Or, preferably, can we just drop mines?
Oh yeah, but dropping mines was great fun. And very effective.
Yes. Well, it's much easier because they come out the back. So you could just, turn around and run away from things and drop mines. And they just...
Fantastic.
But you have... Yeah, I mean, there's you got to load things into your torpedo tubes. I have a radar view similar to what Chris is talking about, so you can see ships. You have to target ships and choose which weapons you're going to use. Try and align the ship so you can fire torpedoes or nukes, which are just big torpedoes really that have a massive blast radius. You have a sort of array of weapons at your disposal. But I mostly liked putting the shields up and down. And just enjoyed it.
I mean, you were doing that.
I would forget to do it.
I was giving my crew a certain level of autonomy.
Yes.
But I think you were putting the shields up and down sometimes at the very wrong times. We got into a fight and you already had the shields up before I'd given you a frequency.
Yeah, but then, but this is I think that was perhaps the correct decision.
Possibly was.
Yeah, because there's this is the thing about not being able to see other people's screens and not necessarily understanding some of the, in our situation, some of the nuances of what they're having to, some of the stuff is the first I'm hearing about it, about what Euan was getting up to. I'd just be like, can we get more power to the lasers or the beam weapons?
But yeah, it would be usually I have to cut power to everything else. And then I'd get navigation going, why can't we move? Because we fire weapons.
A constant question I had to ask was, are we moving? Because I want to drop mines. But it's are we moving at all? Or just spinning on the spot?
We were spinning on the spot a few times. I just had to cut power to everything. It was great.
The thing is, I didn't totally understand what you were doing and how it worked, so it was very difficult for me to give orders and understand.
Well, that's the thing. Like Dave, I was kind of there was a lot of things where it was kind of intuitive. We're all right, we're doing this now, so this will probably need power. It's all right, we're going to battle. Okay, I'm going to put the shield power up. I'm going to put the weapon power up. If there was something I'd missed, usually someone would tell me, and I'd just get on with it. But it's an interesting role because it is essentially dealing with all the guff that's sort of happening around you. It's all right, I'm going to have to do this now. But I enjoyed it. It's if I had the resources to set up something like this again, I would love to try all the different roles.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think am I right in saying that the helm had a joystick?
Yeah,
it's
great.
It did.
Fantastic. Because I wasn't entirely sure how she was controlling it, but
no, she did a good job.
Oh yeah, she did.
Pretty good at it.
But I think this is one of the other things, and I think this is why the captain and the science role kind of gets mixed together, is because only the science screen I think can give headings. So if you wanted to go to a certain place, you had to tell the helm you have to turn to 325 or whatever.
That's quite fun.
Yeah, and I think that, definitely, and I kind of enjoy that. And I also think because I'm giving out frequencies, it's kind of that was a one-way conversation really. So nobody was really giving me any information that I needed to deal with, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
I was just giving it out. And I can understand why they combined those two roles rather than any others. The relay one was an interesting. So the relay was sitting next to me, so I could really see his screen. And when it came to hacking things, I had no idea what he was doing until I turned around and had a proper look and realised he was playing Minesweeper.
Yeah.
And that was how he hacked into things. And it was interesting because, like, if you hack into other ships, you can like drop their shields, or you can take their weapons offline or their engines. So you had a bunch of choices. Now, he could also do things like send probes into nebulas, and the other thing he could do was call for backup. Now, that was something that I kept neglecting to even... it just wasn't in my mind. I was too busy trying to keep our ship alive. But it turned out that he was just constantly sending backup to places, which I'm kind of glad of, because I think we would have failed hard if he hadn't been doing that.
I think we just
we would have run out of energy, certainly, several times.
There were numerous times when we were basically were we not dead in the water like a few times, just having to sit still and like.
Well, let's talk
recharge.
about how we did, because we did a sort of tutorial mission where one of the guys that runs it takes the captain's role, and he just runs us through how things work, and we get in a little fight. And that was all very well and good. And then, basically, I took over the captain's role, and we did a mission, and it's one of the sort of easy missions. And I do believe that we ended up dead in the water in that. But we actually failed the mission because we accidentally ran into an asteroid and blew the ship up.
But I don't think we quite realised that could happen.
Yeah,
until it did.
Until it did.
Until we were like, oh yeah, look, there's because we ran into an asteroid, and I was like, wait, there's asteroids? It's like, and then I was like, oh look, there they are, they're all up in the screen.
Don't fly into them. They kind of didn't become a problem until they were a problem. It's like...
yeah, that was it. It's like until we actually hit one, it wasn't an issue. So because that mission was kind of cut short, they let us play a sort of longer, harder mission.
Yeah.
They gave us the opportunity to switch roles, I believe, as well, but we decided against that. We thought, if we're going to do a harder mission, let's not do that. Now, I believe most of the missions just involved kind of going to star bases, and they were always under attack by the looks of it. That seemed to be the general gist of things. There's star bases asking for help, and you had to go and deal with that. And sometimes you were in some pretty ridiculous fights against some. In fact, I believe at the start of that hard mission, we basically fought a ship that was almost identical to our own. So it was almost like a battle of wits kind of thing, which I found quite interesting. We did absolutely blast them out the sky. Did we not nuke them?
Well, I think we had to use the EMP. Because they had shields up, which I did sort of.
I didn't even know the EMP was a thing, so I would have asked for it earlier.
I didn't realize shields were a thing because the probesman was doing such a great job of taking down the shields of everything we encountered.
So we did this, and I believe. I mean, it was a tough mission. I thought we were definitely going to end up dying at one point, but I believe that we ended up winning the mission, and we were completely out of fuel, out of energy. Everything was knackered. The ship was nearly blown up. And what actually happened was that the AI controlled guys that their relay man had called in ended up blowing up the last ship.
We were just sitting in space doing just drifting when it came up. Mission complete.
And listen, lads, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah,
that is totally us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Starship Bridge Simulator was one of the best things that we did that whole weekend, for sure. It was a lot of fun. I've heard about them before. I've always wanted to do one, so I was definitely all over it when I heard it was going to be at Tabletop Scotland 2019, and I put our names in for it pretty quickly. And I'm really glad we did it. I would do it again. I had a lot of fun with it.
It is quite board gamey in a way, because it's not, because of, all these sort of, there's all these kind of compromises or whatever rules, decisions that are there to make it a game.
Yeah,
it's not really a simulation of Star Trek per se. Because if it were, you'd be able to fire torpedoes forwards.
Well, exactly. But I'm wondering, was that a design decision? Because obviously, was the game
so,
just too hard, too easy? Sorry, if you could just fire torpedoes straight ahead of you.
Partly, but I think it's also, it means you have to communicate. Like, as the tactical, you have to communicate with either the captain or the helmsman in order to get them to align the ship.
Yeah.
So that you can fire the weapons that you think you should be firing, sort of thing. So that's quite board gamey, I would say, in a way. And it's it's not that different from playing Captain Sonar.
Exactly, yeah. Captain Sonar,
or something like that.
Oh yeah,
basically the same thing, just without all the computers.
yeah.
And I love these kind of things. I love these sort of team games where you're having to work together in order to get things done. I absolutely love that kind of game. So it was right up my alley. So yes, that was the Starship Bridge Simulator, brought to us by Edinburgh College, and it definitely wasn't out of place at Tabletop Scotland 2019. It was very geeky, and that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's good.
Right, well, I think that's going to be the end of part 1 of our Tabletop Scotland 2019 episode.
Join us for part 2.
Yes, join us for part 2. And
we'll be talking about Tabletop Scotland
2019. And
you've given away the cliffhanger.
Yeah, but something happens that you won't expect. Just leave it at that.
Is it the bringing by?
Sharp.
Sorry. Damn. Can't believe I said that. Yes, we will be back with part 2 of our Tabletop Scotland 2019 episode very shortly. Okay, well, we'll give out all our internet stuff. If you want to email us, you can do so at firstplayertoken@gmail.com. If you want any of our social media stuff or anything like that, you should go to our website, which is firstplayertoken.com. But if you really want to chat to us quickly, get on Twitter, find us at 1stplayertoken.
That'll be once player token, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I'm out of practice.
Okay, well, we will be back soon with our Tabletop Scotland Part 2 episode. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.